Yeah.
Riding through the night, city lights dim, shadow cast. Feet on the gas, memories of the past. Stadium roars, crowd noise echoes last. Feeding off that energy, moving fast. We are Tottenham Hotspur, pride in our veins. Every loss, every win, feeling all the gains. On the pitch of dreams, through the sun and the rain, making history, never playing it plain. We love to rant, from the heart never relent. This is the Tottenham supplement, money well spent. Feet stomping, heart stumping, ready for the event. Chasing glory every moment, heaven sent. Crowds cheering, heart beating in time. Echoes of the anthem, melding with the rhyme. Past legends nodding like we've stepped out of line. Rantz in the air, every syllable's prime. Rising from the ashes like a phoenix takes flight. Dribbling through the legends, visions in the night. In the zone, adrenaline burning so bright. Echoing the chants under the stadium lights. Echoes in the street, from the pubs to the park. Rants in the air, striking hearts like a spark. From dawn till the dark, left our mark. Roaring like lions, making sure it's stark. Riding through the night, city lights dim, shadow cast. Feet on the gas, memories of the past. Stadium roars, crowd noise echoes last. Feeding off that energy, moving fast. We are Tottenham Hotspur, pride in our veins. Every loss, every win, feeling all the gains. On the pitch of dreams, through the sun and the rain, making history, never playing it plain. We love to rent, from the heart never relent. This is the Tottenham supplement, money well spent. Feet stomping, heart stumping, ready for the event. Chasing glory every moment, heaven sent. Crowds cheering, heart beating in time. Echoes of the anthem, melding with the rhyme. Past legends nodding like we stepped out of line. Rants in the air, every syllable's prime. Rising from the ashes like a phoenix takes flight. Dribbling through the legends, visions in the night. In the zone, adrenaline burning so bright. Echoing the chants under the stadium lights. Echoes in the street, from the pubs to the park. Rants in the air, striking hearts like a spark. From dawn till the dark, left our mark. Roaring like lions, making sure it's stark.
Yeah.
Riding through the night, city lights dim, shadow cast. Feet on the gas, memories of the past. Stadium roars, crowd noise echoes last. Feeding off that energy, moving fast. We are Tottenham Hotspur, pride in our veins. Every loss, every win, feeling all the gains. On the pitch of dreams, through the sun and the rain, making history, never playing it plain. We love to rant, from the heart never relent. This is the Tottenham supplement, money well spent. Feet stomping, heart stumping, ready for the event. Chasing glory every moment, heaven sent. Crowds cheering, heart beating in time. Echoes of the anthem, melding with the rhyme. Past legends nodding like we've stepped out of line. Rants in the air, every syllable's prime. Rising from the ashes like a phoenix takes flight. Dribbling through the legends, visions in the night. In the zone, adrenaline burning so bright. Echoing the chants under the stadium lights. Echoes in the street, from the pubs to the park. Rants in the air, striking hearts like a spark. From dawn till the dark, left our mark. Roaring like lions, making sure it's stark. through the night, city lights dim, shadow cast. Feet on the gas, memories of the past. Stadium roars, crowd noise echoes last. Feeding off that energy, moving fast. We are Tottenham Hotspur, pride in our veins. Every loss, every win, feeling all the gains. On the pitch of dreams, through the sun and the rain. Making history, never playing it plain. We love to rent, from the heart never relent. This is the Tottenham supplement, money well spent. Feet stomping, heart stomping, ready for the event. Chasing glory every moment heaven sent. Crowds cheering, heart beating in time. Echoes of the anthem, melding with the rhyme. Past legends nodding like we stepped out of line. Rants in the air, every syllable's prime. Rising from the ashes like a phoenix takes flight. Dribbling through the legends, visions in the night. In the zone, adrenaline burning so bright. Echoing the chants under the stadium lights. Echoes in the street, from the pubs to the park. Rants in the air, striking hearts like a spark. From dawn till the dark, left our mark. Roaring like lions, making sure it's stark. We love to rant, from the heart never relent. This is the Tottenham supplement, money well spent. Feet stomping, heart stomping, ready for the event. Chasing glory every moment heaven sent.
Hello, welcome. Hi, hello, it's Crisandro, of course, and welcome to an episode of Rantz. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We're just going to a little irreverent look at how we think this club is doing, and got two fantastic guests, good friends of the channel and friends of the group. First off, to my left is Angie. How you doing?
Oh, hello. It's Angie here from the East Stand Voice, live and direct to you. So let's talk all things Tottenham Hotspur.
And looking forward to getting into it. And down below we've got Ryan.
I am.
How you doing, Ryan? You good?
I am doing very, very well, thank you. Quite interesting to see how this is going to go. A lot of things need to be said and discussed, so fun way to get started.
Yep, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
So obviously we've come here on the back of it's quite an interesting run of results, one might say. I think it's 6 defeats out of 7, plus 1 win. I was in the Europa League a couple of nights ago. So yeah, that'll be a very good place to start in terms of team news. So yeah, we've got a few things to discuss where it comes to Spurs and rumours right now. Just to get the little bits out of the way. So yeah, I mean, there's been a fun 48 hours. Matis Tel, and then we got Fikayo Tomori. Now the story is out there that Matis Tel, a French international, 19 years old, Bayern Munich player, decided to stay at Bayern Munich to fight for his place. So apparently we would have agreed a deal with Bayern Munich, 60 million euros, was it? And yeah, that's not going to happen now. But and then Fikayo Tomori this morning, from what we understand, he's decided to stay at Milan as well. But it depends on which way you're actually going to look at it, really. So in your mind, we'll start with Andrew first, because I think got a few thoughts on this one. The players that we've been linked with, the players that are saying no. I mean, do you think that's indicative of how things are going at Spurs, or is it just a case of we're kind of unlucky at the moment?
I'm going to be brutally honest here. Look, I love the club. okay? But let's call a spade here. And at present, the club is coming across as incredibly toxic. And that is from the board down to us in the ground, right? Because we all have to take an element of responsibility for this. And I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, it's the board, it's the manager, it's the players. And then it's like, oh, the fan base. Oh, no, we're angels. We're not angels. Okay. So I think that's the problem. In world football, Tottenham is coming, there's been lots of reports about the conduct of the board, Daniel Levy, the manager. Will the manager be sacked? It's like relentless. Every single game, it's the next game. It's the next game. It's the next game. So there's all this instability at the club. Now you're already in a place of instability at your own club because you're on the bench. You don't know whether you're going to get a game. Do you want to move from that then to another club where there's hostility, especially from the fan base? There's so much hostility. Do you really want to put yourself in that position? Also, how attractive is Spurs looking at the moment? A couple of seasons ago, yes, I would have been like, hey, why are you, why don't you want to come and play for us? We're languishing in the 15th, right? If Tottenham does not beat Brentford tomorrow, and if Everton beat Leicester, Tottenham drop to 16th. Okay, that's the harsh reality of what is happening at the club at present. Again, as a player coming from Milan, coming from Bayern, do you really want to move to a club that's 15th in the league? Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to, even though we're not going to be, okay, I'll make that very clear. We are not going to be in a relegation battle. We are not going to be relegated. But that is the narrative that's been put out there. Spurs are in a relegation battle. They might be relegated. So if that's the narrative put out there, is that the kind of environment, again, you want to put yourself in a relegation scrap, even though we're not going to be in a relegation scrap? But that's what the press are constantly, it's just relentless what the press are doing to the club at the moment. And that is it out there. We're in a relegation fight. So again, we're not very attractive. Endless injuries. Again, we're not very attractive. Do you want to come into a club where you are scrapping every single game because of the level of injuries that there are at the club at present? And then there's a manager where the fan base are so divided on. Fan bases are usually divided on the manager. It happens. But our fan base is, oh my God, it's constant. Angel, sack him, keep him, sack him, keep him. Every single day, every single group, every single Tottenham fan. You could be on the street and you see a Tottenham fan. Are you Angin or Angel? It's like, oh my God, I just want to win games. I just want to win. I just want 3 points. Is that too much to ask? So that's just my take on that.
That's a very interesting take. Ryan, I'll bring you in on this as well. Yeah, 2 players kind of have said no, they want to stay with the clubs at this point in time. As Andrew's kind of said, is that it could be an environmental thing as well, as well as a personal thing with the players. What's your take on it in a way? Do you feel that there's a club attractive to players now as it was not that long ago?
Where do I start? Okay. As far as Matthijs Tau goes, a player I hadn't heard of until we were linked with him. To be completely honest, I've never heard of him until we were linked with him. I don't know what he did at Bayern last year. All I heard about was what Harry Kane did at Bayern last year. That being said, he's done practically nothing at Bayern this year or this season. So him not wanting to come to us I don't know. I think it would be a little bit strange if he does, as the other rumors say, go to United, which I don't know how much that is more appealing, other than a wage
Mm,
or a higher wage than what we could offer. I don't know what's more
mm,
appealing there. Um, and I think that would always be the more attractive offer, the more attractiveness to players compared to our club,
mm,
regardless of our situation. I know our situation is bad. Um, it's not dire yet, but it is
mm.
bad.
It's
It
still time.
doesn't look good.
Mm,
And other than in name, all United could offer them is more money. So if that is his preferred choice, it makes no sense to me if he wants to really fight for a place at Bayern, which I think they've only used him 8 times this season.
mm,
Mm.
So if he's wanting to play, I don't know. Um, I know of Tamori, but I think players choosing to stay where they are and not wanting to move, it's also tough. Um, while I agree with a lot of what Angela said, the toxicity of what is going around in the club, especially with our fan base. You know, I'm not a fan of our fan base personally. I've never been a fan of our fan base.
mm,
Um, higher ups from other clubs don't go and see what's happening on social media with regards to what the fans say. Players do.
mm,
And if you went out to X or Twitter and you were reading what our fans have been saying today, what they were saying last week, or what they were saying the week before, or every time we lose a game, or every time a player doesn't perform, and you hear about players closing their accounts because they don't want the abuse, I think for a younger player, it would scare them off.
mm. Yeah, I can imagine that will be a culminating factor as well. Just to kind of clarify on a few things that was said about uh, Jakarta Tomori and Matisse Tell, it looks like, especially in Tell's case, I mean, even Juventus came calling and he rejected them, said he would prefer to stay at Milan. He's more interested in being there for the derby, and then he will look to try and then he will assess things. So he hasn't rejected Spurs out of hand, as the stories are saying. He's saying that he wants to complete a few games at Milan, and then he'll assess things afterwards. So the deal is not dead, if the deal was there in the first place. The deal's not dead, but they'll assess. And with Tell, it looks like yes, he just preferred to stay at Bayern Munich and fight for his place. So it wasn't a case of rejection of Spurs, as it were. More a case that he's at a big club. Why would he want to leave? And yeah, it looks like Manchester United only came in with a loan, and he preferred to stay at Bayern Munich for the time being. So there's still time. Who knows what can happen? There's still, I don't know how many days left in the window. Is it only a week or so? Is it? Oh, no idea. 'Cause,
2 days.
2 days. So
think
I just kind of buried
Yeah,
my head
third,
in.
third of Feb.
So
Yep.
so
Midnight.
that should be interesting. That should be interesting. That kind of brings us neatly on to the next topic, which is why we are kind of worried, because a few things have to be addressed as such. Because at the moment, after seeing Dragusin going down with a knee injury that could rule him out for the season, how many fit players does that leave us with? 12?
Oh,
That leaves us with not many players at
season.
all. So yeah, and so we've got 14 players out injured. Although a few are coming back, it was good to see Van der Ven back, and it's good to see I've lost track of it because as soon as a player is fit, the next one
Romero at
goes down. So
training. Yeah.
Ramirez at training.
Yeah.
Vicario, is he done for the season?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but at least Romero is back, and I don't know if he
He's
will be playing
training
against Liverpool.
Vicario, which is good.
Ah, there we go. So some players coming
No,
back,
Vic.
but as soon as the
I
player
don't
comes
think
back,
Vic will, no.
nah, he's out for the season, isn't he? So but it looks like as soon as a player comes back from injury, they go down. Another player goes down with an injury, and so there's always that delicate balance.
Yeah.
A few people said that they thought that the transfer window was about the summer window was about a 5 out of 10 because we didn't address too many issues. Although, as some of us are saying, this is a rebuild. It's going to be a very slow one, but I can understand need players for them now as well. So it's kind of like a fine balance. Since that summer window, and since we come to this point now, where we're now having to nurse 12 or 14 players, or 12 to 14 players back to health. And I mean, what is the state of the team, really? I mean, it seems that with one injury down, we could cope. With two injuries is an issue, but is it feasible to have a squad as big as Chelsea's? Would that be manageable? Would that be sustainable? Or is it a case that we've just been very, very unlucky with the injuries that we've had? Is it just a generational thing that we've suffered? Or do you think that at the start, before the season started, we should have done a lot more than we should have done? I'll start with Ryan on that one.
I think that having 2 or 3 options per position would be ideal. I don't want to say you should have a bloated squad like Chelsea, who has multiple per position. But knowing, and this isn't a season under Edge thing, this isn't a current thing. Injuries for Tottenham has been happening since as far as I can remember. Ledley King always in the injured. Many players always injured. And then we sometimes sign players that have only been injured and played like 3 or 4 games in their careers with us. So, but it's tough because getting the right players, I feel we missed a trick letting Højbjerg leave at us. I'll forever feel like we did that because yes, he may have wanted to start more games because all he was doing was coming on to close out the game for us. But we could have used him now where we didn't. We could have used. I don't want to say. I don't think Brad Hill was on the level that we need him because what we have is better. But it's an option, and I think we've left ourselves short letting these guys go instead of keeping them. Based on the fact that everyone's dropping like flies, and if it's not one thing, it's the other thing, and it's I don't know. Is it that common for that many hamstrings to be pulled in one season? Is it? It makes it's almost baffling to me that has actually happened. But okay, it is what it is. But the real difficult part for me is the right type of player, and I think we're struggling to find the right type of player, even especially with the right mentality. Because I don't know if it's just me, but I can go through the list of players in our team that don't have the right mentality. I don't think Johnson has the right mentality. I don't think Basuma has the right mentality. Every time I see either Basuma or Sarr injured or not on the team sheet, my immediate thought is, oh good, that's one less sloppy pass that's going to cost us.
I hear you.
Because it is the most frustrating thing. And none of these, like I said in the post that I did, I don't know if we have enough fight in us if we get down to, if we drop 2 more places in that league table. I don't know if we have enough fight for in us.
Mm.
I don't see the player with the heart of a Michael Dawson or a Van der Vaart that is going to grab the team and pull them out, because the player that would do that is playing for Lille. Where did Hojbjerg go to? He was the only one that was screaming and shouting when he was on the field. So it would have to be a pick between Solanke, Kulusevski, and maybe Van der Ven to try and get us out of it.
Mm.
So I think as far as the team goes, I never look at us when I see the starting 11 and think, that's a weak team. I think our starting 11 is always a case of that team should get a result from this match. I always think that. I always see that because I see our players as being strong enough, and yet somehow they seem to lately we go ahead, we are going to coast through the rest of the match, and then it all unravels. And I think that needs to change. But how or whom, I don't know.
No, I hear you. Yeah, that's some good points there. Ange, do you think that we did enough in the summer window? I think I probably know the answer to that one. But also, is there something kind of like deep and systemic within the team itself that, as Raz mentioned, can the team really have these many similar injuries as well? Is there something? Is there an issue that should have been addressed, needs to be addressed, or has it just been a case of us being unlucky?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of the fact that the team is in 4 competitions still, and they're playing every sort of 3 days, and we have a lot of youth who are playing, but then there's also a lot of the senior players that are carrying the team as well, so it's a lot of pressure on them. And then there's obviously, I mean, these are only press reports. Again, we don't know how true they are. And it's a style of training. Previous articles have come out about sort of the Celtic and the issues that they had with hamstrings at Celtic, and with the manager saying it could be, the training style. So there's a lot of there's a lot out there that can be said for why our team are dropping like flies. But at the same time, Munn has come in and Munn has said to the club his ideas. He's not actually addressed the fans, but anyway, we've read articles. And there's going to be a youth rebuild at Tottenham. And it's going to be painful, right? And when you have a youth rebuild, this essentially is what is going to happen, because you have to feed through the youth with the seniors. And because of the pressures of the Premiership, being in Europe, competing for cups, then the seniors are having to do additional kind of work to try to sort of bolster the team and get them over the line. Even though I'm not saying there's anything wrong with our youth, because from what I saw on Thursday, there were some of our seniors that weren't up to muster, and players like Mikey Moore were. And I was watching him and thinking, well, sorry, you're not up to muster. Get him off. Mikey Moore, 17 years old, So I'm not in any way criticizing the youth. I'm just saying that when you're trying to build a team around youth, but you still have to have that senior input, it is the balance isn't always there, and the imbalance can sometimes come, which I think is what we're seeing. We're seeing quite a big imbalance, what with the youth and the seniors and the injuries, and trying to get over the line, and the 4 competitions that we're in. It's tough. But I think from the fan base point of view, what happens, it's human nature, right? It's like when we were kids and we saw our friends with certain things and sweets and chocolates and new shoes and new dresses and new jeans. And we often said to ourselves, well, why haven't we got that? Why can't we have that? You know, why can't I go to the sweet shop and buy all those sweets and stuff, and little Timmy can? You know, why is Timmy's mum and dad giving him the money to go to the sweet shop and not me? So I think as fans, with the advent of social media, we're seeing a lot of activities that are going on at other clubs. And when we see that activities, even if it's not happening, so many players are mooted with so many different clubs, but even if it's not even materializing, we see that activity. And then we turn around to ourselves and say, well, why isn't that happening at Tottenham? Why aren't we being linked with this player? Why aren't we going after that player? Why aren't we doing this? You can see how depleted our squad is. Why isn't this happening? When in reality, it really is happening. As much as I am not a fan of Daniel Levy, I cannot see him sitting there and looking at our team, depleted as it is, and him and Lange and Munn aren't sitting around the table trying to figure out exactly what to do about this team. I can't believe it. I don't believe it. You know, that's just my thoughts on that. But in terms of the team, right, it is what it is. We're in a youth rebuild stage. Okay. A lot of people did not agree with Johnson when he first arrived. I did not agree with Johnson. However, when he signed on the dotted line, I said I will back him. I like Johnson on the wing because he's got that pace, but I'm not sure we've necessarily got the players that can keep up with him, because sometimes when he's like crossing the ball and you think, yeah, Johnson is there, quick, cross him, because he can speed down that wing. It doesn't really happen because we don't necessarily have that players that have got the same pace as him. Kulusevski's kind of game has changed slightly. I mean, he keeps being played down the middle. I mean, that's where the manager sees his strength. But I remember the days when Kulu used to take that ball down to the byline and he used to look into the box to see who's there, cross that into that player, so that player can then just sort of like try and bang it in the back of the net. But even his game is because he's had to adapt and change to the team because it's so depleted. We all know that Sonny is getting older. It's not the same Sonny, but do remember Sonny hasn't got his cane. It's like Sonny and Cher, right? When they split up, it was the music was different. Everything was different. You know, Sonny doesn't have Kane. Sonny doesn't have that solid player, right? Okay, Solanke's come in, but it's completely different. Right, and they have the best partnership still to this day in the Premiership. Nobody has surpassed that. It is still Son and Kane, right? So Son without his Kane, that's why we have the Son that we have, and playing Son down the middle doesn't work. Sorry. Sarr is having an off season, in my opinion, but then again, it's the pressures of all the injuries, and then you got players like Gray who is falling into that centre back row, not his position, but he's like, I have to do it, right? And he's doing his best, right? And he's doing it well. He's doing it well. So, you know, at the end of the day, all I can say, right, and it may seem like a bit of fence sitting, but it is what it is. Our team is depleted. We are doing a youth rebuild. So I think the fan base have to either accept it or not. That's the crux of it. This is the youth rebuild. We've seen that with the players that have been given a chance from the academy, which is brilliant. We've seen it with the young players that the club, I mean, you know, going after Tell. He's a young 19-year-old. We see that they're trying to build from youth, but it's going to be a long process. And it is whether or not, right, the fan base are willing to wait. So are they willing to wait? Are they willing to wait? Because that is our team. That is our team. Yeah, we've got loads of injuries. It is unfortunate. It is what it is. Other teams have got injuries, maybe not as many as us, but that's the life of football. But the big question is are the Spurs fan base willing to wait for this youth rebuild of our team? And I don't think that they are.
Internal issue.
If I could just add, you can see how tired they are. You can see that
They are.
they've been
They
run
are.
into the ground, but
They have.
they are still trying. They are still playing for the manager. They are still playing for the club. They are still trying to do their best. And I don't think it's getting appreciated enough by a lot of the fans. Because it's still a case of, well, on paper we should win. Or because we are Tottenham Hotspur, we shouldn't lose to an Ipswich. We shouldn't lose to this team because they are in the relegation zone. Or we're a bigger club than Nottingham Forest. We have to beat Nottingham Forest. Doesn't matter about form. Our name says we have to beat them. And it's like I was listening to Eddie Gold yesterday or the day before, where he said and I've seen it, a lot of Spurs fans say, oh, but, Bournemouth have players injured. Okay. But Bournemouth don't have 11 starters injured. And Bournemouth don't play every 3 days. So it's okay to have 4 players injured and you play once a week, but if you play twice a week with 11 starters injured, you are going to suffer a lot from it. So
and that's
I think,
the thing, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely don't have the patience, or they definitely just it's still a case of we must win everything now. We've waited long enough. It's now.
I mean, I can see the point. I can sort of be objective and see like the point of the fan base. It's like we've got this fancy stadium, it's like the best in the business. We've got like the best facilities in Europe at like Hotspur Way. It's a spa. It's literally a spa. They've got the best of the best. They've got the best chefs, so they're getting all that nutrition. They've got the best facilities for pre and post match. So I think from the fan base point of view, they're being paid a hell of a lot of money. And we just want them to go out. And even if they feel like Plymouth Argyle, right? Because they may feel like that. They may feel like Plymouth Argyle when they hit that pitch. But I always want them to play like they believe they're Real Madrid. That's how I want them to execute every match. And even if they lose or draw, I can say those 11 players went out on that pitch and they played their hearts out. And that's all I think I'm not saying no, a lot of the fan base want to see. And I think we did not see that against Ipswich. And I think that was the biggest issue. We saw them out there just very much like, okay, Ipswich are just wearing us down. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to play this. And then they lost. And even, come on, you can't say that Ange was not disappointed and angry and annoyed and upset. Because even he was probably like, this was a winnable match. Come on, these guys are in the bottom of the table. We are Tottenham. This is a winnable match. I know that I'm managing the team. well enough that they can go out and beat Ipswich.
I think his press
So,
conference at the end of
you
the
know,
game
that,
showed it.
Yeah.
yeah. So that is all I ask of the team. At the moment, they are Plymouth Argyle, okay? But I want them to be Real Madrid every time they leave that tunnel. And that is all I can ask of them. And they did. They played like Real Madrid when they played Liverpool. That's all we asked of them.
And it
You know?
is that after that first goal that gets conceded, you can see that there's a switch, that it's like we
Right.
aren't going to make it, which is
Correct.
terrifying going into not tomorrow, going into Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it is. Because if Liverpool get that first goal, what are we going to do?
Correct. They don't have that. I mean, there's only so much that the manager can do, but they don't have that necessarily have that football intelligence to be able to figure out how to close out a game. And I don't know if that is because we do have a lot of sort of young players playing who are still, you know, come on, they are still learning their craft. You know, they've just come out of the academy. It's a big leap. I'm glad that, you know, that there's faith in them to actually play them. But it's true. Once they concede that goal, it's like they don't know how to come back from that. They really struggle with that. And I'm wondering if I don't know. I'm wondering if there needs to be some sort of sports psychologist involved behind the scenes, or whether or not they have one. I haven't seen one in the program. I've seen everyone else, like dentists and everything, but I've not seen like sports psychologist. And I'm thinking that there needs to be, because there's a blockage.
It used to be, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a wall up. As soon as a goal is, there's a wall up. And it's true. How do we break down that wall when they go behind?
And that's where the lack of leadership is
out.
also the lack of leadership.
Yes,
because
indeed.
as great as Sonny is, he's
Correct.
not a vocal leader. And Romero,
and we
as
all love
leader,
Sonny, don't
his
we?
head
All
drops.
love him to
We
bits.
love him, yes. But Romero even is, his head drops immediately. He doesn't say anything. So it's who is like I said. It's only really Kulusevski that could drag us out of it at the moment, because he's the only one that's fit, and maybe Van der Ven, and then it's done. I don't see any other. Well,
it's Kulu.
Verval he will keep driving. They will keep playing. And we know the other youngsters coming on will have enough heart, but we don't want it to be a case of it's too little, too late by the time they get on the field.
Yeah. But I mean, as you said, we need to change the captain, because I think the thing is with Sonny is he's just too nice. And I think that's a problem. I mean, the most angry that I saw him was in the Amazon Prime documentary, and I loved seeing him that angry. You know, him and Loris having their little make the run, you know, incident.
Oh, that, yeah.
And if Sonny, you know, if Sonny bought a bit of that, then things could be different. But he's so nice. He doesn't like to offend anyone. He's, you know, he's a wonderful person. He's got a really sort of soft heart. But in this tough time and in football, it's, you know, you need someone tough on the pitch. When you listen to Kulu speak, it's like, yes, he's very commanding. Kulu's background is from the Balkans, right? And when I sort of like hear him speak, he just reminds me of my friend from Montenegro, and that kind of Balkans tough attitude, not holding any prisoners, just saying it how he is. That is Kulusevski. And I think that is what that team needs. They don't need someone to pat them on the back when they're behind. They need someone to say, what the hell do you think you are doing? We are at home. We are 1 down, 2 down. We're in this stadium. Over 60,000 people are watching us. This is embarrassing. come on, let's get
Mm.
back out there and let's win this game. That's what that team basically needs.
Mm. No, I agree with you. I was actually looking up and seeing who the sports psychologist was at Spurs. The only one I could find was for the women's team, and she's kind of left. I think somebody else
There
has
you
gone.
go.
It was Helen Richardson Walsh.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a new lady on there, Sarah Finley, I think it
Yep.
is. But that's for the women's team. We don't actually seem to have one for the men's team, which is kind of worrying.
Yep. They're missing
'Cause
one,
I,
and they need one.
I agree. It looks
They
like
need one.
yeah. I mean, when you're having these injuries and everything like that, and having
Exactly.
not mental issues, mentality issues, you need someone to sound off, and we're not having that in the men's team.
Confidence, you know. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That is going to be a worrying thing. That should be something that Spurs should get onto straight away. Just so everyone knows that we're live, or those of you that are watching, Forest has scored 2 goals in the time that we've been live,
I
and they're
can't
now
believe it's
5-0
5-0.
against
It's
Brighton.
madness.
Yeah,
5-0.
exactly.
And I
It's crazy.
transferred out Wood, by the way. I transferred him out.
And he's got a hat trick. Well done.
Never mind.
Oh my god! Well, I've got 2 of their
dear.
defenders in my team, so I'm kind of good. I've got 10 points coming my way. But yeah, I was actually just thinking that Nuno Espirito Sancho doing very well for us, and that kind of brings us neatly onto the next topic. Our thoughts on the manager. This was going to be nicely contentious, I should imagine, throughout the fan base as well, because it was a 50-50 split when he first signed. Well, I think it's more 60-40 against him coming to us. I'd probably say I was one of the 40%, and just because I saw he could do through his career. His first season, mixed, one would say. He started off very well, didn't he? Those 10 games, 8 wins and 2. And then we kind of like had a mixed story throughout. And now the season started off mixed, I would say. I think everyone's kind of immediately downcast after that initial opening day draw against Leicester. And then since then, done okay until the injury started kicking off, and then we've now fallen off a cliff. In the league, that is. In the cups, I think we've only lost 1 game in about 13, I think, something along those lines. So in the league, there's a mixed bag. In the cups is where we're seeing probably our best form. And that's because we were playing a lot of the kids in the cups as well. So that's probably is a clue. So in terms of how the manager has done, and I know we're coming towards the end of the transfer window, and he's said a few things himself, maybe in code, sometimes outright saying that we do need to try and bolster the team. So is there kind of like you think it's like a disconnect between the management and the fan base as it is right now? I know that Pochettino did his best to bring it all together, and then there was kind of like a middling where when Conte came in, Mourinho came in, Nuno came in, and there was kind of like a middling. And now, how do you feel about the manager in your eyes? As opposed to the best way of putting it, I'll start with you, Angela, because I think everybody on the group knows your love for the manager, and so yeah, I think we're the best one to kick it off.
Look, at the end of the day, right, this isn't some new phenomena, right, of a disconnect between fans and the manager, right? There's no club that you can tell me that you're not going to get fans moaning. I mean, they moan, you know, you look at Arsenal and they've moaned about Arteta for seasons, moaned. The only ones I could say that probably didn't moan is like Liverpool. Right, because they love Klopp, so they didn't do moaning. Manchester United moaning, even Bournemouth moaned, and like even probably the Brentford lot have a little bit of a moan. At Palace, they moaned. So look, at the end of the day, right, this is our fan base. Okay, we all had the Poch back lot, and me was like, what is this unfinished business with Poch? I still, to this day, I don't know what this unfinished business is. One day someone will explain it to me. But,
he had his time,
so we
he?
had to get Poch back. Yeah, we had the Poch back brigade, and we had the Conte out brigade. And look, it's who we are, mate. So, you know, at the end of the day, this is going to be relentless. It is going to be a Spurs thing, no matter who's in management, right? With Ange, right, I was not keen on him coming to the club, but I was just like, look, they've made their decision. They want him to come. We've had Conte. I'm actually a Conte fan. This is the thing, apart from his back three. So I actually was actually quite happy when Ange came in and had the back four. I was like, yes, I can't stand back three. So I was actually happy when he come in and he had the back four. Problem with him is I don't think he got any PR and I don't think he got any press training. And I think there's a way, especially when you come into the Premiership, I think there's a way that you've got to express yourself, because we know what the press is like and we know how volatile our fan base is. Whether or not he knows that, I mean, he should have a kind of inkling with Celtic Rangers. Our fan base is very volatile. If you do a little bit of research, it would have all been out there. So I think there's a way you've got to conduct yourself in interviews and the way that you come across. And I don't think it's really sat well with me how he's come across in interviews, and I've not liked things he said, and I just think it's all hot air. I just can't bear it because I'm proper old school and I just need someone to come in to just say it how it is. I don't need someone pandering to the press. I don't need someone who needs the press to be their best friend. I don't need the jokes. I just need someone to come in and do a job and just get on with it. I'm just old school. That's just me. That's how I've run business. That's how I expect it. I don't need to be your friend, right? I'm here to win games. It didn't work for Ten Hag, right? Maybe he's seen that. It didn't work for Ten Hag because Ten Hag was very much matter of fact, and the press didn't like him. And we've seen it was relentless, Ten Hag. So we've seen that. Maybe Ange didn't want that for himself.
It was all about, okay. Sorry, carry on now.
So he's come in, right, but it's like we play one way and that's it. Yeah, he's just like, we play one way and that's it. Right, this Ange ball, okay. I'm not going to change the way I play. Pep didn't. I really don't give a flying hoot what Pep does. Pep has got 3 teams. We don't have 3 teams. We literally have just one, right? And now we have none. Okay, but Pep has got 3 teams at that time. So I really didn't care what Pep does. And I know it's a lot of press. Well, Pep didn't change the way he played. So playing out from the back, we can't play out from the back. Poor coaching team. He doesn't come with a coaching team entourage. Okay, fair enough. Then when you pick your coaching team, you try to pick the cream of the crop. We haven't. Even though we were losing, even though we'd lost a majority of our players, he still played one way. And it wasn't until it was too late he started to adapt how he played. Even Jermaine Defoe said, I respect him a lot. He has a style of play that he likes to play. I respect that. But he said there comes a time where you do have to adapt your style, your tactics. There does come a point where you have to do that. And that's coming from Jermaine Defoe. Okay. And that's where I think my biggest gripe was. He did change. He did. But it's come too late. It's come too late, in my opinion. He had what you do as a manager, right? You've lost your 2 centre-backs, right? You've lost your keeper, right? You've lost that strength in your back line, right? And then, your other players are a bit hit and miss. James Maddison, a bit hit and miss. Biss, a bit hit and miss. What do you say to yourself as a manager? You step back and you say, oh, damn, I like this particular style of play. This is how I like to play. This is how I've always played. This is how I want to play. But you know what? I don't have the players to play my system at present. So what I need to do is I need to play to the strengths of the players that I have available temporarily. And then when I get the players back that can play the system and play the way I want to, then we are reverting back. But at present, we can't play out from the back. So do you know what? I'm not going to expect that of my players because it's a bit difficult at the moment. I don't have the back line that I actually, that can play in the style that I want. We've got a young, 18-year-old, that's playing out of position. We've got a Dragusin who, no comment, because I like Dragusin, but I'm not going to drag him. I'm not going to drag him on this, okay? But we have a Dragusin, okay? So we've got a left and a right back who are playing as wing backs, but want to play in the forwards. But that's how they've been told to play. So that's my biggest sort of gripe with him is his stubbornness, his obstinance. He just does not want to change because he's so stubborn. He doesn't feel like he should have to. And he didn't feel like when we were losing, he said, I don't feel like I need to change. I don't have to. Why should I? I'm Ange. It worked up in Scotland. It's who we are. This is how I play. This is how we're going to play. That attitude didn't wash with me. What I took a lot of exception to, which I'm sure you know, is the dragging of Timo Werner. 48 hours prior to that dragging of Werner, I would never call out my players publicly. Big respect. If you've got something to say to your players, you say it behind closed doors. 48 hours later, slagging off Timo Werner. Timo Werner has not worked, and I know that, and he knows that, and Timo knows that. I don't know the ins and outs of why that loan deal continued. Did he say he wanted to continue with Timo Werner? Did Levy force him to continue with Timo Werner? Did Lange say it's best that he continues with Timo Werner? Did Munn put his sixpence worth in? Did Cullen say, I think Timo Werner should stay? He stayed though. So if you've got an issue with that player, don't try to deflect from your own failings as a manager and put it all on that player, because that did nothing for the morale of the team. It doesn't do anything. We've seen it with Mourinho. What does it do to a team when you're slagging off play? Oh, it's going to be me next. Who's who? It's going to be me next. It doesn't encourage the player to play any better. It puts them on edge, and they're walking on eggshells because they feel like it's going to be them next. Men's mental health means a lot to me, and I think that impacted Timo's mental health, because it's not only just him. It was then enabling the fan base to take out all their frustration on that one player, which they effectively did. Because, if the manager's saying they're crap, then I'm going to get on social media, which they did, and I'm going to also tell him that is crap. And I did not agree with that, because that is toxic for the team. It's not just Timo. There's a lot of underperforming players in that team. So it's not just him. And it was toxic for them. So I think he went about that in a completely wrong way. Adaptability, he waited too late for that. In-game management, I don't like the way that he doesn't communicate with the players on the pitch. I think that's really important from a manager's point of view. I've watched every single manager in the Premiership. I've watched all 20 of them, and 19 communicate with their players when they're on the pitch, and only one doesn't. One stands in the box and does nothing. The only time he has done something, again, which I objected to, was twice. And you know when those 2 times was that he did something? Was when they were playing against Man City, because of course it's Pep, and he fanboys over Pep. And when he played against Liverpool, because Liverpool is his childhood team. So those 2 games, he was giving it the managing from the box. Every other game, he stands in that box and he does nothing. Now, what does that say to the team that are playing? When they look across at their manager, Because you look across at your manager for a bit of guidance. They're getting nothing from him. So it must feel like they are on that pitch alone and they have to figure it out. 45 minutes, they have to figure it out. They get 50 minutes in there with him. And then again, for another 45, you have to try and figure it out. You know, he's not vocal enough in that box. He needs to be more vocal in that box. You cannot stand there with his hands in his pocket. Is he a bad manager? No. I'm not going to say he's a bad manager. He's not a bad manager. Is he the right manager for Tottenham? Because of the pressures of managing at this level and the pressures of managing at this club and the pressures of the expectations from the fan base and the press. I just don't know if this is the right fit for him because the pressure is too great. His one pressure in Scotland was beat Celtic. That was his pressure and win the SPL.
Rangers, you mean?
And with the money that Celtic has, and he's won. Celtic beat Rangers. Celtic win the SPL. Celtic get into the Champions League. Celtic win the Scottish Cup. He achieved that. He achieved all of that. So he's not a bad manager, but he achieved that in a league that is not as competitive and cutthroat as the EPL. And I don't care what anyone says because there's a little bit, you can't criticise the SPL. Yeah, we can because, we can say that the EPL is far more competitive, far more cutthroat than the SPL. And he produced in Scotland. He produced. It's there in black and white. Can't be changed. It's there. Can he produce down here? I don't think Tottenham is the right club for him. I don't. The fan base we're just too demanding. We're too demanding. We're a demanding fan base because we've not won enough. And we've got this fancy schmancy new stadium and we're still not performing and we're too demanding and we're too demanding for him. He's too stubborn. We're too demanding. It's just a recipe for disaster. Do I think we should get rid of him? You know what? I couldn't give two hoots if he left at the end of the season. I couldn't give a damn. And if he stayed, he stays. At the end of the day, it's a poison chalice of a job. There's nobody out there, really. They keep talking about Terzic. He's not the right man for the job. Dortmund is my German team. He's not the right man for the job. Trust me. So you know what? They might as well just stick with who they've got. That's how I honestly feel. They may as well just stick with who they've got because who they keep mooting out there, it's not the answer. It really isn't the answer. So you know what? You just maybe keeping on for the rebuild. It's going to be painful. We're going to lose games. We probably finish 10th in the league for a couple of seasons. But who will come to this club? What manager will come? You tell me what manager will come.
I haven't actually thought that far ahead of that at the time. Yeah.
There you go.
That far ahead, really.
Because in all honesty, we've seen the list. I've seen the list of available managers. They are not coming to Tottenham. Terzic is the only one. And the difference with Terzic is he does have Premiership experience. He worked under Bilic at West Ham. He worked under them. He has got that experience. But aside from that, you tell me who's going to come. So do we just not be in pain for the rebuild and hope for success later on down the line? And I just wanted to tell you the score. If you can believe it, Forest are 6 up. I can't even begin to talk about that. But anyway, that's for another day.
It is crazy. I mean, big up to Nuno Espirito Santo there. Really,
we can only dream of scorelines like that. Really.
Well, we used to get scorelines like that, quite regularly still, but it's just the defeats which are damaging. Over to you, Ryan. I mean,
yes,
I know that you kind of had the same high hopes for Postecoglou. Sorry, I was just watching the replay there with that goal. I don't know if they're ruling out or not, but yeah, same high hopes for Postecoglou. What's your kind of thoughts on how he has been so far? And has he got the help that you feel he should have had and needs in order to get Spurs where he feels he's able to get Spurs, or do you think that this is probably a club that is a bit too big of a challenge for him?
My thoughts. I love Ange. That's it. No, I've got more. Um, I I really do like him, and every time I hear him speak, I do just love him even more. I love the way he does it. I love the answers he gives sometimes. Not always, but sometimes he knows just what to say to make me even more fan of these. The way he's gone so far with us, even right now, I still feel we play such good football. We play football of the type that I want to watch. I never I never have times where I don't want to watch us. I want to watch us. If I could watch us every day, I would. But then, okay, we really have no players. But there's never, I never, the time between games, I almost feel like I'm missing watching us play because of how good
Mm,
we play. Because I didn't have that feeling under Mourinho, and I love Jose Mourinho. I love Jose Mourinho, but I didn't have that feeling under him. I didn't have
yeah,
that
I
feeling under
hear.
Conte.
Mm,
The game we played against Chelsea under Nuno was the one game I actually wanted to stop watching
yeah.
because that day I felt like if they don't want to play, why should I want to watch them? And I've never had that feeling and I've never had it under Postecoglou. Even in the Liverpool game, I didn't want to stop watching because my my thought was, I think we'll score three. Whether they scored six or whatever, we scored the three that I wanted. As far as the help, I don't understand. I really don't understand why or how it's gotten to this point already. Well, we in Feb, and we signed a keeper that we probably didn't need because we have four.
Mm,
Um, we have four. One is injured. Brandon Austin just had his first game, was against Liverpool and was good enough.
yeah.
So did we really need Kinski to come in? We could have signed another defender in that time or looked at another defender, except now we are scrambling. So I don't understand why whomever is in charge of our transfers has literally left it to the last minute, and we may very well get nobody in.
Do you think the Kinski transfer was
Yeah.
down to Ange, or do you think it's more of a committee
I
thing?
don't know if it was down
'Cause-
to Ange though.
No, I don't
It
think it
does
was, to be
it's
honest.
mm,
confusing that we went after a keeper when,
Mm.
yes, okay, Austin wasn't a proven keeper, but how would we have known if we weren't going to use him? Yes, we
mm.
then go spend all that money on a keeper. Yes, I'm listening.
I think maybe from their point of view, in terms of not bringing in, getting the keeper in, is that we're losing Whiteman, I suspect. We're losing Forster, which then just leaves us with Austin and Vicario. So I probably get bringing in a keeper, but I do, yes, you're right about the urgency to get in defence, centre backs. But I think they're in their mind with the youth rebuild, because we always have to go back to that. There's Dorrington, I believe, Phillips, and Vukovic, who is coming in the
Hmm.
summer. And Phillips may very well come back in the summer. They may put him on loan again, or they may bring him back. And Dorrington, he may continue on loan, but I think in their mind, well, we've got the players. They may not be here now when we need them the most, but they are coming because in their mind they keep it's this youth rebuild. So they're planning for the future, whereas us as a fan base, you're correct, we need it now. So that's why we're like, why are they coming in with Kinski? Why do we need Kinski? Actually, we do need Kinski, to be honest with you. We actually do need him because Vic is 28 years old. I think he's going to be 29 this year. And then we've just got Austin. We did need Kinski. He's 21. He's part of the youth rebuild.
Okay, I understand that. The other point that I wanted to make was also with Feb. We are still in 4 competitions. Our last couple of managers, by Feb, how many competitions were we left in? So Edge is doing something, right? I know the league form is not good, but for us to be, and I would say still going strong in those other competitions, even with a depleted squad. And we're still, once everything gets going, we look good out there. It's tough to, I guess, really find a complaint to make about him. For me, it's tough to make complaints about him. Yes, I understand that a lot of people don't like that he doesn't really do much when he's standing on the sideline. And yes, I feel sometimes his changes are very late. But I almost wonder if it's a case of that he doesn't say much because his plan is, you know how we want you to play. This is the players. He knows that the players know how he wants them to play. He knows that the players know what he's expecting and what should be happening. So he's not trying to, and this is the tough part also, he's not trying to overcoach them with that or cause any doubt within. We stick to the plan. This is the plan. And we're going to execute the plan over the 90. And if I need to make changes, I need to make changes like on Thursday when Jackson came off. We shuffle players around. We bring on Scarlett. Sonny comes off. Richardson goes out left. And those are forced changes, but they seem to work. So I really do, I think it's a case of we've spent all week going over the plan. This is how we are going to play. Come game day, we execute. We don't divert from the plan. Which is why I don't think that I think that's how he coaches, which is why he says, we play how we play. They know how we are going to play. So this is what we're doing. And instead of standing there and do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that, you know what you are supposed to do. So do it. Well, that's at least how I hope it's going. I don't officially know, but I get that because otherwise I don't see how a manager can simply not or just do nothing throughout the whole game. Because I don't know what he says at halftime. Don't know what he says prior, but we all know that changes only get made certain points. Sometimes the 70th, sometimes the 80th minute. So I think where people say he's
Well, I mean, there
more
was a vast
with the
improvement on that, though. There's a vast
yes,
improvement because he did make changes earlier because he was making. See, this is what I'm saying. He was making changes in the 80th minute. I mean, league, and that was also what was annoying the fan base. On Thursday, he made changes earlier.
yes,
So, and you saw how the game changed. Maybe not for the better, but we still got 3 goals.
yes,
I was going to say, I think.
I
I was
need
going to say,
to
I
see
think
that.
that. No, sorry, I was just going to cut in there. I think the changes were more to do with the fact that the players are coming back from injury, and he wanted to get those off and bring on other players. So I don't think it was
I
kind of
mean, I know with Van der
tactical.
Ven, I mean, that Van der Ven, couldn't do 90. No way. I mean,
Mm.
there were people around us complaining about that, but it's just like the guy cannot do 90. He's just come back from a 3-month, nearly 3-month injury. No way. He has to be gradually, he has to gradually sort of play on. But he has made subs earlier than 80 minutes because it was in 80th minute in every league game, and he has started to make them that bit earlier, which is a change
I
which
think
the
it
fan
needs
base needs to see.
yes, he needs to at least give, when we are chasing the game, give those subs at least 20 minutes because there is enough time.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the last thing I want to say has escaped my mind now. When it comes back to me, I'll mention it again. But other than that, I think as every time it is talk about we should sack him, and they would, and I don't, I we can't finish the season with Ryan Mason. As much as I love Ryan Mason, we can't finish the season under him.
I know, no.
We also
no.
We also cannot go
No.
into any cup games or finals with Ryan Mason. He has a worse record than anyone else that's managed the club.
So
We are in a position where we have got to stick
Ryan.
with this man because there are enough points to gain in the Premier League for us to. I don't think we'll be relegated. Something would have to be drastically wrong for us to even get there. But
they're not
Van der
getting
Ven playing,
relegated.
we are conceding
way.
less with Van der Ven playing. I think Van der Ven being partnered with Ray, which is, it has to be an anomaly that a defensive midfielder is probably one of the best centre backs in the Premier League at 18. On top of it.
Steady on. I mean, he's good, but
no, yeah, well,
steady on there, Ryan.
So far, so good. So far, so good. But
that's been kind of weird that that's been kind of weird that we take Gray out of centre back for those 2 games and we look poor in centre back when we had Dragoshin and Davies there. So it was kind of odd, really, how that happened.
Davies is a left back for sure. He's definitely not a centre back. Fortunately, I think. Let's say fortunately, Regian is available for this weekend also. So there's at least cover for that position. Spence, I think, is Spence fit?
No, I don't know.
I'm not sure if Spence is fit. If
I don't
Spence
think
is
he
fit,
was.
I
I think he
think
could be out for a bit while. Yeah.
I really think we should be starting Spence over Pardo,
Alright.
but I don't know if Andrew's keen on that because
What, Spence
I don't
over
know.
Porro?
Yes, I feel like I think
Yes,
Pardo is
yes,
fantastic
he should.
going forward. I think defensively,
Yeah.
I think actually all around Spence might be better because Spence is decent going forward and in defense. So I mean, didn't Spence have to defend against Salah in the Liverpool game?
Talk to them, yeah.
So and Pardo's always out of position, which I don't know. Is that I struggle to find that's part of the tactic if the left back isn't out of position all the time. Yet he is. I don't know if it's him or
He takes win back. He
I see what
takes
you
win
mean.
back to another level. He does, Porro, because he's
Mm,
always forwards because that's his.
yes,
He likes to play in a more attacking position rather than a defensive. Whether or not that's an Ange
mm,
tactic or that's just him as a player. To be fair, I've not really studied him when he's played for Spain. I've not really watched his game there, but we know at
mm.
Tottenham he has to play in a forward attacking position, and that has left us vulnerable.
yes. Oh, and was it Liverpool that I think they tried to expose it. They did expose it in the league game. So
Yeah, they did, yeah. Until
I don't know.
well, yeah, the league game was kind of hard to gauge really because I think when Spence was marking Salah, he had the better of him. When Spence said, I think did they switch or did Salah switch? Can't remember which one it was, but that's when Salah got his 2 goals, and then Spence went over and stopped Salah again, and so that's kind of like the how we kind of marked Salah out of the cup game. I think
Switch?
that's what I can't remember. It was Salah that switched or whether it was Spence that switched, but
I
there
think it
was
was Spence that
Yeah, I'm
switched.
thinking did Salah? Yeah, I'm trying to think back. Bloody hell, I'm trying to think back.
because there was a point where I was
Not
when I was
if
at the
it was
game, I'm thinking,
Spence
oh,
that switched. I believe
yeah,
it's Spence.
it must have been because
Yeah, I think it was Spence.
because I remember when Spence was up against Salah, Salah had got no change out of him in that league game, and then something happened. It was either one of those two switched, and that's when Salah got his 2 goals. But then when you saw it in the cup game, Spence was all over Salah, and Salah had not one inch of that pitch. And I guess we kind of learned from the league game to make sure that Spence was following Salah like some kind of like a flea on a dog. That's what kind of happened, I think. That's how I believe it happened anyway.
Yeah. And you see, that's what I love. That's what I love. I love man marking. Call me old fashioned, right? Call me old fashioned. I don't care. I love that. Man marking a player out the game. Give it to me, old 1970s, 80s style. I'm all for it. I love it.
But to say those of us old enough to remember a player called Lothar Matthäus, brilliant.
Oh, Lothar Matthäus, of course.
Yeah, he can mark a player out of the game. I remember watching a game. I think there was a World Cup final '86, and he completely had Maradona on toast until he was put into a different position. Then Maradona played that through ball. I think at the very, very end to get Burichaga away. I don't know if anyone will remember that. I'm sure in my age right now, I think. But yeah, the one time that Matthäus was not on Maradona, Maradona plays that ball through.
I'm a bit young for that, Chris. I'm a bit young for that. Like, you know, you shit.
I got it on VHS tape. That's my that's my that's why I'm behind that one. But that was a fascinating game there, seeing how yeah, it was great. So this is going to be our final topic of the game. This chat. So this is one that's going to be one I think everyone's going to love. 3, 2, 1. Hey, there we go.
Oh,
let the fire begin.
Opened up and doors.
Right. Okay. How do I start this one off? Basically, yes. I mean, obviously those of us who are at the okay, let me preface it this way. Those of us who were at the fan forum meeting 2 years ago, when I think Ange first came along, and Levy was on the panel alongside Sonny and Beth England. It was asked. Can't remember if it was asked by a member of the fan base or what's his name, the DJ that was comparing the thing. Asked Levy outright about Mourinho and Conte and all that, and Levy said, "Yes, we made a mistake in bringing those guys in." And then he said something along the lines of he intimated that it was a player decision to bring in Mourinho and Conte. Bring in a manager who wins now. That was taken to be Kane, but whether it was Kane or not, that's another thing. Now he brought in and on the basis, if you believe what he was saying, to try and bring Spurs back to how we were, and that's literally the words he used. We now have our Tottenham back. I remember very, very clearly in that fan forum, and I guess it was to do with bringing the style of play, bringing in a flair that fans enjoy, that sort of thing. That's the footballing side. I guess the question is always going to be about whether, because that's just a little bit there, whether he's done enough on the footballing side. Outside of football, one could argue he's probably done as much as he can do to get Spurs up to a level where we are competing. Well, up to a level, I should say. Because I wouldn't use the word competing. I want to go down that route because I got to open up and other kind of worms. How do I word it in a question that sounds balanced in a way? Has he done enough in a way to give the management and the team the tools they need to go forward in a way? I'll start with you on this one, because I don't know which one. I know your thoughts on this one. I know little bits, but not all the way through from what I've seen in the group. So, do you think Levy? Let's talk about the chairman. Let's talk about the whole board itself. Do you think the board have given the team and the players the tools they need, and how do you think they've communicated it with us effectively, or how they think the team should be going forward? I'll ask you on that one. Oh, that's for you, Ryan. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Just wasn't sure I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Short answer, no. They haven't. Well, they have. When you think of facility-wise, they've done enough to satisfy a club of even Real Madrid's stature. However, we wouldn't be able to we could supply the facilities, but I think they'd even struggle to sign players the way we do. Because that part is non-existent. I mean, I don't say it's non-existent, but we know that the funds are there. We see that the funds are there based on the fact that we see what gets mentioned when there are outgoings. We see the amount of money that they received from the Kane deal. We see the amount of money they received from the Bale deal, which, okay, the Bale deal we then invested horribly over those couple of years, or in that window. But to have them only yearly we brought in, okay, Solanke, which has been a very good signing as far as I'm concerned. I do love the way he plays. I didn't realize until he started playing for us how good of a player he was. And what he does what he does in our team, I see why we spent that money on. The Johnson deal was also money spent. And then the rest were youngsters, and we can see why the youngsters have been bought. But it almost feels like there needs to be more because I get that it might be a quality over quantity thing, but we are lacking in quantity right now. And we might not get as high a quality player if we were to bring in more players, but more players are what is needed. I mean, I could say yes, we should have put it. They should be bringing in bodies, and we do need bodies, but we need capable bodies on top of it. We can't have
Hmm.
bodies that come in, can't keep up with how we play, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't feel like I feel like they should be doing more because they have not helped the manager. They aren't helping those players, and those players have got to be feeling let down at some point. I think the only thing that's keeping the players going is the fact that we are still in to possibly win the Carabao Cup. We are still in the FA Cup. We are still in the Europa League. And we might have to win safety. And that might be the only driving forces because they are definitely noticing that. I think it was Romero that said, you look around and you see the same faces.
Hmm.
And this Salaki injury is going to suck even more because of the different teammates. And we can only hope that Richarlison doesn't get injured again.
Hmm.
But it's so
We know he's going to get injured
weak.
again. He's got
We
very
know
weak
he's going to get
hamstrings.
injured again. And we just don't know when.
Hmm.
But I thought it happened when he scored that goal. When he went into
Hmm.
the post, I was like, oh no. But I think adrenaline kept him going through that. I don't know when all the players, how many of them are coming back. I know it's 10 days for quite a few of them, but it's going to be around 10 days.
Hmm.
And hopefully we are still fighting on all fronts by then. But if we aren't, I really do think this is the first time. I've always been, um, I've never been against Daniel Levy. And I've never been a hater of Daniel Levy's. And I've always looked at it from the point of view that I don't see that he doesn't want the club to succeed. I know a lot of fans feel that maybe he's not interested, but like we've discussed previously, he is a fan of the club. He watches every game. I don't see him as ever being someone that doesn't want the club to succeed or win anything. But the flip side is it also needs to show more than you being present. It needs to show
Hmm.
that, hey, okay,
Yeah.
we are investing a little bit into the team. We have to invest in the
Yep.
team. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time where I've been wondering, like, why aren't we? What is it going to take for them to do something? Because
Mm-hmm.
they are the only ones that can change the situation of not having enough players to see us through a season. And that
Yep.
this is obviously the first. It's mostly the last 2 weeks that has
Hmm.
made me feel like they should definitely be doing a lot more.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Nah, cool stuff,
that's
man.
pretty much where I stand on my thoughts of the chairman.
Mm,
As a businessman, fantastic. As a businessman, as a as an unique chairman, he's doing very well. But as Tottenham chairman, he could be doing a lot better. Other than the stadium being fantastic, the food looks fantastic, but what's happening in the middle needs to be helped at
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
nah, cool stuff, man. Yeah, it's kind of like a delicate balancing act. Yes. Well, the floor is yours,
Mm.
Ange. All of us who are in the group, we know
Well,
your kind of thoughts. So, just I guess articulate it into this
well,
one.
I don't know on Daniel Levy because I mean, at the end of the day, there's absolutely nobody right that can say that Daniel Levy is not an exceptional businessman. Right, he is, and I've always said that, and I will always maintain that he is. Like, I mean, look, at the end of the day, he has created this wonderful stadium. You know, he's gone out there and he's touted for the funding. You know, he only got X amount of million from the government, not as much as Man U are trying to get out of the government, not as much as West Ham. He did get a little bit, but it's tiny. It was a drop in the ocean.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, he's a wonderful businessman. Now, for the football side of things, that's where the buck stops. It stops there. Like getting Beyonce's signature to perform this summer, Daniel and his team, he could get anyone. He got the Stones. I mean, they're not touring now, but he got the Stones. Come on. Who can get the Stones to come to Tottenham? Daniel Levy could get the Stones to come to Tottenham. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's an amazing feat. But when it comes to the football, unfortunately, it falls really short. And I think it's a case of the analogy that I said before, when we were kids and little Timmy had the sweets and we didn't, and we could not understand that in our brains, why we couldn't have the sweets, but Timmy could. It's the same with Tottenham. When we look at other clubs and we look at the activity and we look at the money that they spend and we look at the wages that they're willing to pay, and even though clubs like Man U are scaling back because Jim has gone in and said these kind of wages aren't happening anymore, but we've seen season after season how much that they were willing to play to get the right players to play for them. The same with Arsenal. Look, up until what was it, like 10 years ago, Arsenal had a salary cap. Under Wenger, it was 60,000 a week. That's why they lost the likes of Ashley Cole. There was a salary cap at Arsenal, right? That salary cap was lifted. And then you could see the quality of player that they were able to try to attract to their club. We don't have that, right? Amazing club. Tottenham is an amazing club with its history, with its own history, which is always forgotten because everyone goes, "Oh, let's have a look at your trophy cupboard." We have got trophies. But at the same time, it's like when we see other clubs like attracting, like figuratively, like Messi's and Ronaldo's, and we're just attracting people like we've never heard of. Like people have said, "I've never heard of this Tell. Who the bloody hell is he?" You know, when you've got situations like that, the fans are like, "Well, why aren't we going for like the Messi's and the Ronaldos of this world? Why are we going for like what's perceived as second rate?" I mean, there may very well not be, you know, but why are we going for what's perceived as second rate players? What's Levy doing? Levy's just a cheapskate. Levy's just this. Levy doesn't want to pay the wages. Levy only wants to pay this. Levy, do you know what I mean? And it's like the optics are really important to the football world, and the optics are really important to our fan base because everyone knows how volatile our fan base is. And Daniel Levy should know that. Daniel Levy should know that. He should know better. The optics are what is most important to us as fans. And the optics are saying to us, Daniel Levy doesn't give a damn about the football. Daniel Levy only gives a damn about the entertainment side. Concerts, NFL, rugby, boxing, F1. And that is the optics that Donna Cullen is our PR and comms. Hello, Donna. So, there needs to be more communication from the club to the fan base, because I don't know what THST are doing. I don't know what what was it, the fan, whatever, what was it, those 4 or 5 guys? There's a couple of women and a man. What are they called? The fan, I can't remember the name of them, but they came in, what was it, last season? I don't know what they're doing, because where is that bridge between fan base and board? I'm not saying that we need to be privy to everything that's happening in the boardroom. On the contrary, but what I think needs to happen is there needs to be that communication. And because there's no communication, we're here coming up with all sorts, when who knows what they're doing behind the scenes? We don't know, do we? But if they just communicated to us, then we'd be like, oh, that press report about Tottenham putting in a cheeky sort of like little phone call to Man U about Garnacho, we would then turn around and say that's a load of rubbish. Tottenham have not put in a little cheeky phone call to ask Man U about Garnacho, because we would have had a nice little press report coming through, with plans that they are trying to put into place. A gist of plans, because you can't show all your cards to the opposition clubs. You can't do that, but a gist of plans. So we see the likes of Arsenal spending. We see the likes of Chelsea spending. We see, the Conkeys are backing Arteta to a certain extent. We see what's happening at Liverpool. We see what's happening at Chelsea. And then we come to Tottenham and we're like, well, what is Daniel Levy doing? What is he actually doing to propel this club to the heights of what it could be? What is he actually doing? Where are our Messis and Ronaldos? Where are they? Why are we going for, I rate Kinski, £12 million player, 12.5 million pound player. Why aren't we going out there? Why aren't we buying £100 million players? Okay, we sold off Kane, 100 to Bayern. Why aren't we going out there and spending 100 million on a good solid player? Why aren't we able to play a good solid player, 250, 300 grand a week, to attract the best to our club? And the fans look at it like, well, hold on, if we're generating all this revenue from the entertainment side of the business, what's happening to the football? And that's why I talk about optics. The optics are what is damaging our club, because the optics to the fan base, the optics to players, the optics to potential incoming players, the optics to the general football world is that Daniel Levy only cares about Tottenham as an entertainment entity. We got the hotel coming. We've had Tottenham Hotspur removed from our crest. It's things like that. That was a very powerful message that was sent out to Spurs fans around the world and to football fans around the world when Tottenham Hotspur was moved from our crest. That was saying, right, that stadium is for entertainment and football is secondary, because that's how it feels to a lot of fans. We need to be told, like 5-year-olds, literally like 5-year-olds, we need to be told that football is at the heart of this new fancy schmancy stadium. We literally need to be told that by Daniel. Actions speak very loudly. He needs to go out there and he needs to get high quality players. We need to be in bidding wars with other clubs. When we are in bidding wars with other clubs, and we may not win them, but I want to see him in bidding wars with other clubs. And then I know he means business. He means, if we're going into a bidding war against like Liverpool and Arsenal and, Man U and Chelsea and now Bournemouth and Forest, They got to be added up there. If we're going into bidding wars with these sorts of clubs, then I'm like, Daniel, he's doing something. He's doing something. He is actually going out there and doing something. I need to see it. I need to see the actions. And then I need to see the words. And I'm not seeing either. And neither is a lot of the fans, which is why we've got the, Levy out, Levy out, Levy out. I personally think Levy has taken the club as far as he can take it. And I think it's now time for him to step back, let someone else purchase more shares in the club, let someone else be chair of the club, and Daniel just goes to doing what he does best, and that is the entertainment operations at Tottenham, which he's marvellous at. And if that can generate revenue that we can use for the football side of things, then he would be a lot more respected by the fan base. He made all these promises. He said, we will be able to compete on the world stage if we build this stadium. We will be able to generate enough money that we will be able to compete. At present, PSR, not a problem. Financial fair play, not a problem. So Daniel needs to tell us why he can't go out there and find £100 million player and invest in that player. And that's what when you get I rate Solanke anyway, and Johnson, but panic buys like Richarlison, I'm sorry, when you just have to look at his stats, that was a panic buy anyway under Conte's 10 years, a panic buy. But then, fans will argue, but we've gone for Solanke and we've paid all that for Solanke. We've paid all that for Richarlison, 20 million. We could have gone out there and got 120 million striker that was going to bang in 20, 30 goals a season, And I think that is the main problem at Tottenham. Levy has to show us that he cares about the football, because at present, he turns up to every game, home and away. He does. No one can say he doesn't. We see him. He turned up for the FA Cup match. He turned up. He was there, sitting on the hard benches. The three of them, Cullen, Lange, Levy, they were all there. He follows Tottenham around the country. No one can say he doesn't. But that, I'm afraid, Chris, is not enough.
I hear you. Just had a message from Shuban, one of our.
That's just
coming on soon. But
I've always said he's a brilliant businessman. Yeah. I mean, that's what I said. I've always said he's a brilliant businessman, but he needs to step away from the football now. He's been there for over 20 odd years, and I think now is the time to say, I've taken this club as far as I can. But because he's got ego, we've all got egos, but because he's got ego and because the fans want it, and because the pundits have been calling him out, and because the press have been calling him out, he won't leave. He won't leave that post. He will not leave it, because his ego will not allow him to leave it, because it would then be like, they've won. I'm not going to do what those people want me to do. Daniel, you will still retain your shares. No one can take those shares away from you unless you sell them. Daniel, they're still yours. Daniel, you can still build your hotel. You can still build the hotel. Daniel, the stadium will still belong to Enoch. So please, do the right thing, Daniel. Step down this chair and let somebody else. And Joe Lewis, he's another one. Sell some of your shares and let someone else come in and chair that club who can bring us to the next step forward. Because we're in this youth rebuild, then come on, we need someone that can just bring us to the next step forward then. If we're in this new rebuild for the team and going with youth, then we can be in a new rebuild for our board. So
I was just going to say, this is for both of you. Obviously, a lot of deals made about the structural changes, where there's like a buffer around the director of football, basically the committee, as I call it, on the group. That doesn't sway either of you? That you feel there should just be a complete break and a complete change of everything. So I think that's what the idea was to have. Obviously, Levy's going to be the kind of the guy who like ticks off everything and this and the other, but so he's not going to be directly involved in as such. And I think we kind of seen that with example the Mattis Tell deal that was brokered, that was all sorted. Tell decides to stay behind it, but then Levy's now flown out to Munich to try and sort things out. So that's, I guess, that's a kind of like him stepping back in a way. Do you feel that will be enough, or does he need to have? There need to be a total complete break, and that's a total demarcation, and he should just stick to one side, or as you're saying, he should step down, or I mean, I suppose how would you kind of word it? I'll go back to you, Andrew, on that one.
I think there needs to be a clean break, and there needs to be a clean break because we need to rebuild our reputation. Because at the moment, the reputation of Spurs is that we've got a skinflint chairman who will not invest in the club, who doesn't care about the club, who only cares about Beyonce. That is the general consensus of a lot of people out there. And I think and I think that is a major problem in attracting the level of player that we do need. There's only so much that the stadium and Hotspur Way can do to attract that player. But if out there is just constant barrage of skinflint owner, chair doesn't really care about the football club. It's all about the Spurs being used in an entertainment capacity. We need to rebuild our reputation, and the only way to do that is by completely cutting ties with Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy's stepping down. He'll always retain his shares. Nothing could be, shares can't be taken away from him unless he sells them. But we need a clean break so that when players come, they're like, oh, new chair who wants to really push things forward with this club, who really wants to invest in the football, who wants to bring the best players in, who wants to get this team to get into Champions League every season, who then wants to, compete to potentially win the league. Because at the moment, Daniel isn't showing us that that's what he wants. And I think that's another issue. He doesn't show us enough that he wants us to compete to get into Champions League every season. And we need, and actually financially, imagine how much better off he would be and the club would be if we could get into Champions League. 100 million just to getting out of the group stages. It's immense. With all the, the TV rights and everything, but we need to see, we're not seeing it from him. So I'm sorry, we need a clean break. And a lot of people, there's a lot of pro Levy, and that's fine because everybody has the right to their own opinion. But I'm hoping that they see that a clean break would be for the benefit of our club if he stepped down as chair and somebody else bought more of ENIC shares. I think that's what has to happen. And he did go out there and he did try to get a cash injection. That did, he tried to, Staveley was there. Well, so the press said, Staveley was there trying to broker a deal and to put a cash injection into Tottenham. So the opportunity is there. So let's see what happens from sort of like May going forward, because there needs to be at least 4 or 5 players that we need to bring in at the very least. So let's see what happens in May. Only time will tell. And I think May would be a very good indication of Daniel Levy and his relationship with Spurs as a football club, because we already know it as an entertainment space.
Okay, thanks very much. And you, Ran, you echo much of what Andrew said?
I've always been on the side of the uncertainty with regards to change of ownership, because for the main reason that you don't know what you are going to get. Yes, getting a Saudi owner in with billions who doesn't care about the club, which will also be a problem for some fans. If you are seeing if your chairman was like Man City's chairman, who I think he's only been to 2 or 3 games since he's owned them, which was the Champions League final, and I think the Premier League when they won the Premier League, and he's never seen any other time. And I think our fan base would still not be happy with that. I don't know. I find our fan base see, tends to like to to find a problem, but with ownership, it's so tough. I also I don't see leaving because the club is still making him money. The footballing side of Tottenham still makes him money. He's still selling season tickets. He's still filling seats. He's filling even more seats with the concerts. He's filling even more seats with the NFL. And the F1 karting, I don't know how successful that is, but I'm certain it's successful. I'm
Mm.
certain once the hotel is built, that too is going to be successful. And it's almost the cash cow linked to Tottenham Hotspur is so immense that to see him loosening his grip on it is is almost impossible. But I don't know why it would be impossible to employ someone who is more football oriented to run things a little bit.
Mm.
Whereas if you can still do everything else, but as someone running the football side, you can still be visible, but have a football person running the football side. And I don't mean a director of football because when in the history of Tottenham Hotspur as a director of football even worked. I think the first time we had one was with One Day Ramos. I think that was the first one. And
Mm.
that didn't work. And then we stopped it. And then we did it again, and it didn't work. And now we're doing it again, and it doesn't work. So I don't think a director of football, or we are probably getting the wrong director of football every single time. So recruitment needs to be looked at there too. But I don't think Joe Lewis is going to give up his shares because the amount of trouble he's in, or was in, I don't.
Mm.
As long as Tottenham is making money for them, I don't see them giving it
No, they
giving it
won't.
up.
No. It's all in trust for
Uh,
his kids, so no.
yes.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's tough. Like I said, if anything, and we could get someone that knows how to run a football club to come in and run the football club on behalf of Daniel Levy, maybe it will improve, but we don't know if how constricted that person would also be. Because it seems like everyone else is also constricted by something or other, whether it's not spending money or what it is, but there's definitely restrictions for what is going on and what has been going on. There's always restrictions with regards to transfers where we might only get one player
Mm.
in. If we get one player in now in the next day or two, if we get players in the summer. But something somewhere needs to change for us to at least have a better, for it to be better going forward at least.
Mm. That is a deep question right there. What will change?
We need to see it. We need to see activity, don't we? We need to see activity, and at the moment, we're not seeing activity now. The window closes in 48 hours, and because there has been activity, to be fair, but it's just not gone our way. And I think that's the problem. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, if he was quick enough, or if he made more money available, or if this, that, or the other. But I don't think it's as easy as to say just to for him to step aside. I think the problem is he's still financially, he would still have that kind of control, because it's all very well getting another sort of figurehead in as a chair, but what control would they have on the financial side of things? That's why we need that clean break. We need someone who's going to invest in the club, who will then come in and be that chair, who will then make that money available and to act quicker. When the transfer, like Man City signed about 4 or 5 players within the first day of the transfer window opening, because they had already had forward plans. And that's the thing. Pep said, we're losing. I need this, 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 and this. And then what they did is they said, right, we've recruitment wise, we've pinpointed these players, and that's as soon as the window opened, that's who they went for. So they did all the groundwork. What groundwork is being done at Tottenham to in recruitment wise to get these players in as soon as the window opens? And because we've not seen that, as the fan base haven't seen it, they're just like, well, we're depleted of players. No activity's really been going on. What's Daniel Levy doing? So again, he gets the blame. Do you know what I mean? What's Daniel Levy doing? Well, Daniel Levy, he only owns about 20 or so percent in what's Joe Lewis and his kids doing? I know Daniel Levy is the chair, but they're owning at least 70 odd percent of that club. So what are they doing? So, the problem isn't just with Daniel. The problem is with Enoch as well. It's not just Daniel Levy. It's with Enoch. So this is I think this is something that we will, because he's not going anywhere. He'll be there for another 10 years, 20 years. He's only 60 or 5 years old. Joe Lewis is in his 80s. Daniel will be there for another 20 years. So this is a question that we're going to be asking for 20 years. I'll see you back here in what's 20 years now? 2045.
2045.
And we'll be saying the same thing. Honestly.
Except that
we'll be saying the same thing, Chris.
Well,
keep this recording as a record.
I was going to say, in that trajectory, that will mean that Levy will actually be the owner as opposed to the chairman. So there'll be a new chairman, just a different owner this time, wouldn't there?
Yes.
But well, I guess we shall see what happens. But we'll put this one in 2045.
There you go. You said it. Yeah.
Okay.
Put it in the diary.
Well,
Ryan, get it in your diary, okay?
Okay, well, that's kind of brought us to the end of this first ever episode of Rantz, State of the Club address, as it were. And I have to say, it hasn't been too bad. It's supposed to be an hour, but I think the conversations were that deep. We intended for another hour or so. So it's been a good 2 hours. I've enjoyed it. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, so I've enjoyed it, and hopefully we can make this a weekly thing, and get more people on, and then we have a proper exchange of ideas. And so yeah, we shall see if we can put that one in. But
yes,
yeah, we can come to the end of this one, and yeah, thanks all for watching. Those who have tuned in and those who have joined in as well.
Yeah, thanks for the chat, right? Chris and Brian. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It has been fantastic.
That's right. Andrew, shout your thing out. Where can people find you? They need to see you. Obviously, they'll find you on the group,
at the East
Stand group, but also where else?
Yeah, at the East Stand Voice. You can find me across social media at the East Stand Voice. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube, and I am there on Facebook. So you'll be able to find me across the board, talking all things Spurs.
Fantastic stuff. Brilliant to have you on board. And Ryan, where can people find you if they want to find you?
I'm on the Tottenham Hotspur group supplement on Facebook. On X, I am Rybez, RYBEZ. I'm on Instagram. Different username would be Ryan M. Biz, underscores between M and B. And
Okay. I'll have a
I'm
look.
on Facebook. So, yeah.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Okay,
Cool.
that's wraps up the show. And if people can find me, I'm on the top of the group,
Lovely,
of course. I'm
guys.
on the edge there. So yeah, come hit me up on there. I'm also on Blue Sky as well on the Crisandro. So yeah, come find me. But yeah,
Yes.
it was a good show.
Lovely.
We enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll try and
It's
do
been a
another one
pleasure,
next week.
guys. And next time, get Michael to come on because we want to hear from Michael as well.
Good,
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Hamilton. I know he
Get
watches
Michael
this
on.
behind
It's
the
been a
scenes.
pleasure, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Take care.
You
Yep,
too.
you too, you too. And thanks everyone
All
again for
right.
watching. And
Shout
thanks
out to
everyone watching. And
Michael. Shout out to
yeah.
Michael.
We'll be on. Well, I'll also have a vlog coming out after
Take
tomorrow
care,
for the
everyone.
for the
Take
Brentford
care.
game. So watch that. And yeah, we shall all
Oh,
see you again soon. You all take care. Come on, you Spurs. See you
lovely.
again real
Take care,
soon.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.